Thank you, Kat.
You're welcome.
All right, we'd like to call this meeting to order. This is the Board of Trustees work session agenda, November 24th, 2020. And we'll begin our meeting tonight with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we will begin our meeting per usual with our public comment section. Kat, do we have any public comment? Is anyone who is participating tonight, who is raising their hand, who would like to be let in? Or Charlene, do we have any public comment that should be read into the record?
There's 4 people in attendance. Nobody is raising their hands at this point.
All right, thank you. So we'll begin tonight then with our board presentation. We have a very busy agenda tonight. There's quite a few board presentations, communications. We have a public hearing tonight. Because of that, because we're close to the holidays, we're going to ask each of our board presentations to remain about 5 minutes just to keep our meeting moving this evening. So per our work session, as we do our treasury reports, we'll introduce Charlene Cagle-Betts, our treasurer, and she will begin with the treasurer's report.
Charlene is muted.
Okay, there we go. Good evening, everyone. Okay, I circulated to the board earlier today, the November 24th, the October 31st finance operations. Tax collections to date of $24,990,598. Penalties collected $142,178. Budgeted revenues were $32,465,063. Of that, we've received 28 million. I'm sorry, 187,063. Budgeted expenditures, we had a total budget of 32,465,063. Expensed and encumbered to date are $11,292,457. I had circulated earlier today, I think at the last minute meeting, we had a brief discussion about the retirement invoices that came in. We had a bit of a shortfall in that expenditure line to the tune of about $410,000. At that point in time, I decided to take a step back and just take a snapshot of the budget overall as of October 31st to see where we stood. We had anticipated that there might be some COVID impact on our revenues. And after a review of the budget, it appears that that has come to fruition at this point. So we have some shortfall projections. We've got a total budget shortfall gap of about $1.7 million at this point. 1.2 million is revenue shortfall. That's comprised of beach and permit revenue being down, beach permit and beach concession revenue being down by 225,000. We're projecting a shortfall in justice court fines and fees of about 220,000. Building and zoning permit revenue is really the hardest hit at this point. We are projecting a $735,000 shortfall there, and miscellaneous other items in the amount of like 29,000. Interest rates are at a record low, so we're not really getting much interest income on our investments. So total revenue shortfalls from the original budget is about $1.2 million. Expenditure wise, we had some shortfalls. From some expenditures that ran over budget. As I mentioned previously, the New York State retirement system, that was basically due to the fact that our retirement system is on a fiscal year end. That ends on March 31st. And of course, we all know what the stock market looked like at that point in time. So our plan assets were actually understated at that point. So therefore, about another $80,000 in overruns at Cooper's Beach because of the additional staffing we needed to ensure compliance with COVID-19 regulations, and a little bit of expenditure overrun, $15,000 on telephone. So looks like we're about 1.7, under budget. We have a $1.7 million gap in our budget at this point in time. So I discussed this with the Budget and Finance Committee yesterday. I reviewed everything with them. The Chairman, Len Zanotti, and I went over these numbers, came up with a plan and some, projected potential sources for the budget cuts. But the first line of defense, I think we're going to go back and ask the department heads to take a relook at their budget. There's got to be some areas where we should be able to cut. Overtime, for special events. I'm sure we haven't had really many special events this summer. That might be an area for potential cuts. So at this point, I want to report that I'm going to go back, communicate with the department heads, see what they're willing to, review their budgets, tighten the belts a little bit, and see where we can maybe mid-year adjust the budget downward to try to, head off the gap, or at least, try to mitigate it. Also, I'm going to request that if there are any budget cuts that the department heads can identify, if they would also communicate to the board if that would result in some type of a decrease in services. That's my 5 minutes. I have a department head meeting next week with the department heads. I'm hoping to come up with a plan forward there, and we'll report back to the board in December and hopefully have a way to mitigate this shortfall at this point in time. So if anybody has any questions.
Well, thank you, Charlene, for that report. We're looking forward to working with you to make sure that we can put together a budget that obviously works and that accommodates the shortfalls due to COVID-19. A lot of municipalities and villages are in a similar situation, but we're confident that working with you and our board that we'll be able to solve this and make sure that we close the fiscal year on a high note. So with that being said, the next board presentation is the CCA, the Community Choice Irrigation presentation presented by the Town of Southampton, Frank Zappone and Lynn Arthur. Frank and Lynn, are you guys on the call?
Let me bring them up. Okay. I just brought them in. They should be with us.
This is Frank. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Right.
Okay. I know Lynn is on the call, but I'm not sure where she is right now.
I think she's muted.
I see Lynn over here. Let's see. I can unmute.
Okay, I've unmuted my line.
Awesome.
Can I share my screen, please? Is that okay?
Yes.
Great. Not sure if I know how to do that.
While you're doing that, Lynn, just Mayor, thank you. And I want to thank Andrew for helping set this meeting up. And I guess a welcome to Joseph and Gina. I'm sure they're all hands at this right now. Consistent with your effort to try to move rapidly, I'll do the best that I can. I just want to ask a copy of these slides I did send to Andrew earlier today. I'm not sure if other trustees got to receive copies of those. So let me go through this as quickly as we can. The town of Southampton has been at the establishment of a CCA program for about 2 years now. And if you could just go to the next slide, Lynn. I'm pointing, she's driving. This is sort of a background as to why CCA exists in New York State. It is, in simplest terms, the fastest and most effective way in one effort to achieve some of the objectives that have been established by the state and that have been established locally by villages and towns and cities in New York State. Understand that CCA is a local authority given only to cities, villages, and towns. And it is by design, if you can go to the next slide, Lynn, an opportunity for towns, villages, and cities to select by local legislation and then future agreements a utility source other than the current utility provider that's in the community. And CCA gives you the opportunity to do that both for electric energy and for natural gas. The town of Southampton is seeking a CCA program to support our electric energy needs and also to support our objectives of renewable energy, electric sourced energy by 2025, 100% renewable. What you can accomplish by CCA is aggregating the usage of the entire population of the municipality to go to an open market to bid for an energy provider that would provide you one of two things, if not more. One, your energy at a per kilowatt price that's less than the current provider of that energy, or two, a source of that energy that's different from what's currently being provided by the utility provider of record, in our case, LIPA. So if you choose, and Southampton Town has chosen to seek 100% renewable sourcing, and I want to emphasize, as this graphic shows, that it's just the source of the electricity, the electric wires, the repairs, the addressing of outages, all things related to the infrastructure are still the responsibility of the utility. So if you have a CCA program and your constituents are receiving energy from a CCA program, then and there is an outage or a pole that's damaged on their street or a wire that's down on the street, in our case, it's still PSEG, a LIPA, that is responsible for maintaining that. That doesn't change. And of course, the customer doesn't change. That would be us. The advantage to aggregating is simply stated an economy of scale. The more customers that are in the request for an energy provider, the better the opportunity for pricing. So there are advantages to aggregating more than one municipality in an effort to seek competitive pricing. Lynn, if you could quickly go to the next slide. I want to be mindful of our time frame here. So what CCA does is it allows local elected officials, and this is by order of the Public Service Commission, to approve a local legislation that authorizes the pursuit of a CCA program. That legislation, which I know the board has on, the trustees have on their agenda for a public hearing later in December, is simply a statement of intent. It commits the town and the trustees and the residents of the town to nothing but investigating the viability of CCA in their community. As I've said earlier, it allows you to enter into a bulk purchasing agreement and competitively procure energy supply with the help generally of a CCA administrator. It is a complex marketplace, and the expertise of a CCA administrator, I think, is absolutely essential. The town of Southampton has already commissioned a CCA administrator, and they have been working with us over the past many months. And of course, the main purpose is to build a large enough base of potential customers so that you can be competitive on the market. And it's in the interest of an energy provider known as an ESCO to compete on a competitive pricing scale. Lynn?
That was our 5 minutes, sorry. But continue. I just wanted to, like.
Thank you, Charlene.
You're welcome.
In the interest of time, I'm just going to check the headings here. These are the role players, and they're pretty self-evident. The municipality, that would be the village and in our case, the town, a CCA administrator who brings the expertise to deal with the various entities, negotiate contracts on behalf of the municipality, work with the PSC, the ESCOs, and the utility provider of record who we have to enter into a customer data agreement with. Of course, the utilities itself that deliver the energy to the CCA, and that would be in our case, the next interest group, energy service companies known as ESCOs, local partner organizations and program organizers. These programs have been successful elsewhere in the state, most notably in Westchester County. And the value of it is it grows from the community up. And it is a community-based local elected officials who make the decisions on behalf of their constituency. One last player is NYSERDA, which offers at no charge a wealth of very valuable information, both general and technical in nature. And Lynn, if we go to the next slide quickly, I'm speaking over Lynn if she wants to add any comments. Here's the current map of CCAs throughout New York State. There are over 100 municipalities that have adopted the enabling legislation. 61 cities, towns, and villages have an active CCA program. That is that they are getting their energy supply through a CCA negotiated ESCO. 38 municipalities of those 61 receive 100% renewable energy from their default provider. And in Westchester, which is the most well-established program in New York State, over a period of the first 2 years of operation, in savings, it amounted to about $15 million in energy savings for over 100,000 customers. This is a grid that, or a graph that emphasizes the process. Southampton Town is about halfway through the process. It begins, which is what the trustees are considering tonight and at their meeting in December, to adopt the enabling legislation. It is absolutely a prerequisite. If you choose to operate independently as a small municipality, you would seek a CCA administrator and then begin through that administrator to conduct an outreach and education campaign to help the constituents, excuse me, understand what CCA is all about. Understand too that this is an opt-out program. If you adopt a CCA program and begin to launch one, all residents are enrolled. They have the opportunity to opt out at any time at no cost. And I want to emphasize that throughout this process, there is no cost to the municipality. The burden of any costs that come down the road fall to the CCA administrator and the ESCO that you might select sometime in the future. Here on Long Island, we have a very unique situation in that, unlike the rest of the state, LIPA, until June of this year, never complied with a 2016 PCA order to make CCA available through what's known as a tariff. Now, tariff we often associate with a tax, but simply is a tariff is an order of operations. How do we function as an organization in order to allow CCA to exist? This is very well established protocol. The town, excuse me, LIPA had never adopted that protocol until June of 2020. And that was after a considerable amount of effort on our part, the town of Southampton, with a great deal of help from Assemblyman Thiel, who has been a staunch ally in this effort, where LIPA has not complied with mandates or recommendations from the PSC. The Assemblyman has offered legislation, and in some cases gotten legislation passed to force LIPA to be in compliance with the PSC order. Understand too that although that might sound like an awkward situation, it's because in the LIPA Reform Act that created LIPA from LILCO. It exempted LIPA from orders of the PSC. It exempted LIPA from directives from the state comptroller, and it exempted LIPA from legal action that could be taken by the state's attorney general. So they are somewhat of an autonomous organization. The Assemblyman has offered some legislation, some of it about to be signed by the governor, seeking greater authority of the PSC over LIPA. In fact, the same authority that the PSC has in the rest of the state, where recommendations are perceived as orders and civil penalties can be administered by the PSC to LIPA as it can in the rest of the state if they don't comply with those orders. The Assemblyman has another piece of legislation that he's shared with us, and we've given him some assistance in drafting to create a consistent format for CCA on Long Island through LIPA. And then lastly, and most importantly, the PSC currently has a case open and they're accepting public comment on, which will, it appears, mandate or have the PSC recommend that they're going to mandate a competitive market here on Long Island. And that is at the core of CCA. At the moment, there is no competitive market. You can choose your energy from LIPA or no one else. There is one operating ESCO on Long Island, and they are not in a competitive position to offer any ratepayer a price less than currently being offered by LIPA because of the way LIPA is structured, nor can they assure you that you can get 100% renewable energy as your source. You can see that where the town is about the midpoint. I'll explain what a data security agreement is. In order to get an accurate bid, your CCA administrator has to get access to all of the utility bills, if you will, of the ratepayers in the municipality, so they can evaluate the exact demand. And when they evaluate that exact demand, they create an RFP that would go out to the open market, and ESCOs can compete in a bidding process similar to the way RFPs operate for all of us right now. We are in the process of negotiating the structure of that data security agreement with LIPA as we speak. The next couple of steps is an implementation plan. Excuse me. Thank you, Lynn. An implementation plan which must be approved by the PSC. That implementation plan is developed by your CCA administrator. There is a request following that for data, which I mentioned earlier from the utility. Then we go out to competitive bid, the next to last step. And it is at that point, if the town or village in this case, or both, agrees to accept the competitive bid, that is the first point where we have made as a municipality a commitment to the program. All of the rest of it is investigative and part of a process. Once we accept the bid, then the program is launched, and the CCA administrator and our administrator has some local representation that will do the outreach and information for the constituents and ratepayers in the community to assist them with the process. So here's where we are. The boards will, as you are doing this part of this meeting tonight, begin a public engagement and a public education program. Obviously, your public hearing for later in December is part of that. And then if you get the information from your constituency that makes the trustees feel comfortable, you can adopt the enabling legislation. And I believe that you have a carbon copy of the legislation that our town board already adopted. And then the first step after that is, then the next step after that, excuse me, would be to select a CCA administrator. And then you begin the process of walking up those steps that are outlined in the previous slide. Now, there is an opportunity by agreement between the municipalities to join together in a CCA program. Each individual municipality does not have to develop their own program. You can partner. And as I mentioned earlier, when you aggregate the usages of more ratepayers, you get more demand, and that gives you an opportunity to go out to the market with a competitive bid, and you benefit from the economies of scale. All that being said, I hope it's resonated to some degree. And if there are any questions from the trustees, and Lynn, if you're there still, I know you are because you're moving these slides along for me. We're happy to answer any questions or add any more information that might be useful to the trustees.
Great job, Frank, you're hired.
Yeah, that's why I get the big bucks, right? Thank you. Mayor Warren, any questions?
Jesse, you're muted.
Thank
Is
you,
he-
Frank. That was a great presentation. We appreciate you taking the time out tonight to present this to us. I'll direct some questions to the board. I have a few, but this was very well explained. So thank you very much.
You're very welcome. And we're happy to add, if you so choose, any additional information come the public hearing on, I think it's scheduled for the 8th, Mayor. So just give us a shout, and we're happy to help the information campaign on your behalf.
I think it's the 10th. Yes.
The 10th?
Yes.
Thank you.
Just want to make sure if any of the trustees have any questions, feel free to jump in. All right. Well, that was because it was so well explained. Thank you, Frank.
Well, thank you, Jesse. I
Lynn.
appreciate it. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Frank.
All right. That was excellent. Our next board presentation, number 3, is the Pyrus Concert House project. And our grant writer, Nicole Christian, will give us an update.
Okay, let me promote her. Nicole, can you hear us? Nicole,
She looks like she's muted.
hang on a second.
Right, while we're waiting for Nicole, I just wanted to thank Trustee Pilar for setting that up for us. So Trustee Pilar, good job. Thank you for inviting Frank tonight.
Pleasure, Mr. Mayor.
Nicole, are you in yet? Let me see if she's muted. Let's see. Ask to unmute. There,
Good evening.
there we go.
Good
Oh,
evening.
hi, everyone.
You are not Nicole.
I am not,
Are you
but
Nicole?
I am. I'm not. I'm Georgia Gricke. I am a PCAC member. So I don't know if I was directed now to actually present. So I was actually on another meeting, but I'm prepared to present. I don't know what happened to Nicole, but I will open up my PowerPoint and share.
Thank you, Georgette.
No problem. So thank you for having me. I appreciate the time, trustees, for giving us an opportunity to provide you with the update. Brenda Simmons could not be here today. So I'm going to take the reins. And Nicole, I'm sure will be on shortly.
I'm here.
Do you see my?
They have you labeled as Georgette, but I'm Nicole Jean, and I have the PowerPoint up already, Dr. Key, if you see on the screen.
Okay. Is it in slideshow mode? Thank you.
You're welcome.
I was working my computer, so I'm like working double time here. So I want to thank everybody for having us today. This has been a long time coming, as you know. We have been working over 3 administrations to try to get this project done. It's a long story, as I said, over 3 administrations, 2 municipalities. Pierre, Wisconsin, as you know, is a international cultural ambassador. By the way, how much time do I have? Nobody told me. I probably have, how many minutes? 3 minutes, 5 minutes? How long do I have here?
Georgia, you've got 5 minutes, but obviously if you,
Okay,
you know,
so no,
it's
I can make
just
it go
loose.
5 minutes. Yeah, so, basically, we've been working a long time with many administrations. We came together as concerned citizens over a few years, and we've been working for a very long time. This year, we are celebrating 5 years of retrieval of the property. So we're happy with that. As you see the sign there, that's on the property. And we are hoping to move forward with this property. As you see, there's many partners: Southampton African American Museum, Eastville Community Historical Society, and Peconic, AIA Peconic is a partner that's helping us steward Preservation Long Island. And we've been working for a very long time. So right now, what we're looking to do is to move the property forward. As you know, we have been meeting with Assemblyman Fred Deal and also Supervisor Jay Snyderman. And we've also had a series of ongoing meetings for the last couple of months, at least the last 8 months, with Bill Chaliff, the village trustees. I think I see Andrew there. He's been on meeting with us to come up with a game plan. We feel very strong that our game plan now is the plan for success. And in order to have that plan for success and to move forward, we have an ask for you tonight. I can fill you in on some things that have happened. The house has come down, we have saved it. We have, over the years, made sure that we can successfully rebuild it, the original timbers that we have. But in order to do that, we are going to need some funds. We are going to need to shore up our plan. And with that being said, we can go to the next slide. We came up with the ask for the village that was originally in the original plan of $500,000. We now need to have that money. It is actually have already been allocated through village resolution, as you know. So that was already allocated on paper, but we need to have it actualized. So we're asking to make sure that that money is given to us, the $500,000 through the village of Southampton. We are looking for $500,000 through private foundations, which we have identified. We're looking for $1 million from New York State funding through various government entities. And we are looking for $1 million through community preservation funding. Now, this is our funding strategy that we think is very possible, that will help us complete the construction of the building and our full plan that you have access to, which is in phases. But in order to do this, we have to have various components done. We need a full plan in order to have this done. You know, we went to bid 3 times unsuccessfully, and we feel that there's various reasons of why. We basically have only been using Chaliff and Rogers on that bid process that has been unsuccessful. We know there's various factors, prevailing wage, et cetera, et cetera. But we feel in order to have this plan be successful, that we need to bring somebody that I and the grant writer have worked with on various projects through various municipalities. We think that he will be the keys to the success to get this plan actualized and bring it into fruition. So as far as the Pierre, Wisconsin project, I just want to let you know that we have never taken our eyes off the prize. Just this coming December 1st, Brenda and I are presenting to the Landmark Society of the Western New York. This is the premier preservation conference of the state of New York. I think I sent it to you, Mayor. I'm not sure. I sent it to everyone I possibly could think of. You can share it with everyone. I'll try to send it to you again. December 1st. Anyone who's looking for continuing education in AIA, architects, any municipal people, they get continuing education credits. Last year, the first time the Long Island Museum in Stony Brook, after existence for 80 years, the first time they ever did a exhibition on slavery, Pierce Concert was right and center. So we constantly write about him in journals. As you know, we just retrieved all of the excavation of the artifacts that was done at the archaeology on site. We have some precious artifacts that were retrieved at the site. So that will go back into the museum. We are constantly taking artifacts and gifts. So this museum is really important. And as you know, this year, that site could have been a site of consciousness for all of the unrest in our country. So it is important that we have this site built. With that, I am urging you to move positively on item number 8, and I beg the board to rule favorably on item number 8. Thank you for your time, and it is a pleasure for me to serve in the capacity on the Pierce Concert Action Committee. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think the only thing that I would add is I've been in touch in communication regularly with Mayor Warren and Miranda about my discussions with the CPF. I have an updated copy of their policies, procedures guide, and their regulatory guidance for organizations or municipalities that want to present projects to them. So the mayor and I are in the loop about the timeline, and what we're looking for right now is to take our conceptualized plan and to formalize it into a detailed site plan or master plan for the location, along with solid budget figures. And that was why I recommended working with a construction management consultant that I've worked with for years, which will help us move the ball down the court fairly quickly. Because without that, it would be virtually impossible for me to ask for state level funding. The foundations are also extremely strict about having finalized plans. They will not consider a conceptualized design for a grant award. I have tried many times in many different ways unsuccessfully. So I'm advising the board that we spend the next month or so during this holiday season, during the time before New Year's, to finalize a solid site plan with a detailed budget so that I can prepare what is necessary for the foundations, as well as prepping us to go before CPF, of which the mayor and PCAC would be the most important players in that presentation. And then eventually next summer, going before the Long Island Regional Economic Development Council for New York State funding, which is going to be opening up particularly around projects that will create jobs and will bring tourism to the downtowns. So we've got a very ambitious plan, but one that I think we can absolutely accomplish. So that's my update for now. I'm definitely here for any questions. I've got my cell phone if you need me later tonight and at any subsequent meetings. I'm very excited about this, and I'm looking forward to moving forward. Thank you.
Can I add one thing before we end? It is important that we be shovel ready, is what I've been told from the private funders, and also working with AIA. I need a plan that they can take to their members to support.
Okay, Mayor, you're muted.
Thank you, Georgette, and thank you, Nicole. I just wanted to thank both of you for your hard work. Also thank Miranda for her work on this. We've been really communicating with Chaliff and Rogers, making sure that they're ready to go for the site plan. A site plan was sent out. We have to meet with your team to make sure that that's the correct site plan. But we're pushing very hard to make sure that we get this process rolling. And then just so the board knows and the public knows, we saw the funding plan, but it's critical we have a shovel-ready project ready to go for the CPF so we can ask them for money. But in addition, we had a great meeting a month back with Preserve Long Island, Assembly Person Thiel, Supervisor Schneiderman, And Preserve Long Island recommended the Gardner Foundation, which with funds, projects where there's matching public donations or public funds. So our goal is to get this ready for the Gardner Foundation as well. And then just so the board is aware, and I know our administrator treasurer, Charlene Cagle, is aware of this, but there was a $500,000 resolution that was passed under the prior administration. Unfortunately, that money was not earmarked, so that money was actually not in any budget. So we should just be prepared to know that a prior board did allocate those funds, but it wasn't appropriated. But that was done. So when we work on our budget for the next fiscal year, we're gonna have to make sure that we can find funds, because that was promised by the prior administration. So that's on us now to make sure we come up with the funds. We obviously wish that was appropriated, but in any case, we have the resolution ready to go, and so we want to make sure we've got the shovel ready project, and we've had some other good meetings. So thank you very much. I mean, this is a very important project for anybody who's interested in preservation, history, American archaeology, and I think we'll get a lot of interest from various foundations. But thank you everyone for your hard work.
Thank you, Mayor Warren. I appreciate the leadership on this effort. Thanks a lot.
And thank you, and I thank you too, Mayor, because it's really important, that we have that money earmarked and placed in the bank. As you know, the town bought the property for over $5.7 million in trust for the greater community. And like you said, he's a cultural ambassador, and we appreciate all of the hard work that you and the trustees are doing for us.
Thank you all very much.
All right. Well, have a good night, and we'll keep this moving. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. Good to see you, Trustee Parrish and Brian. Gina, I hope, Trustee Arrest, I hope to meet you in person soon. Trustee Polaro, good to see you. Trustee Joseph, we met. Hope to see you all again soon. Hopefully one day, Charlene, I'll meet you in real life. Because this is all email, Charlene and Miranda and I. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful holiday.
I only see 3 people. I don't see all these people you're saying, but I hope to meet everybody too one day. I only see Kate and Mayor Warren and Nicole, so I don't see everybody, but thank you. I did see Andrew earlier, but I don't see everybody. But thank everybody who's making this possible.
All right. When next time we see you, we'll check your Zoom update, make sure it's good to go. But anyway, thanks again, guys. So we'll keep this keep the meeting moving, and we'll move to board presentation number 4, Southampton Village Police Department update, presented by Chief Cummings.
Okay, Chief should be coming in right now. Are you there, Chief?
Yep, just let me start my video.
Okay.
How are you, Mayor, Village Board? Nice to be here. I think the main thing the mayor was asking for, and Trustee McLaughlin, was an update from us on the reimagining the police as outlined in the governor's executive order from June. We've been working on it. When the order came out, we had to adjust some minor adjustments to our policies, which we did right away with the law changes. The governor's office put out a fairly comprehensive 140-page guide on what they were looking for from us. We've gone through the guide. We are in pretty good shape. We are, just to give a little background on the police department, we have been accredited by New York State since 1993. We were the first village police department on Long Island to get accredited, and as part of accreditation, the state sends creates standards by which we do our administrative training and operational functions, and because of that, we've stayed very up to date. Only more than 70% of the departments in New York State are not accredited. There's roughly 600 departments in New York State, and most of them are not accredited. So I think they may have some work to do. We fortunately don't seem to have a tremendous amount of things to do. Reading the guide, we're in pretty good shape. The executive order recommended some training topics. We've already done all the training. We can, of course, continue, but we're in good shape there. Had a meeting with the mayor and Trustee McLaughlin and village administrator last week, and we submitted a list of people that we think would be helpful based on the stakeholders that the executive order is looking for in terms of what types of community groups they represent. I know that the village board passed a resolution at the last meeting for 5 people, but I think the 9 or 10 that we've discussed would probably be helpful. Once we, get a go-ahead from the village board to constitute that group, we'll get to the next phase, which is, listening and learning. We also created a survey that we're the link to, which is gonna go out in the next village newsletter, and the link will be on the sepd.com webpage. I'm sure the village can put it on their webpage. So we get feedback from our stakeholders in this survey, and then based on what the community thinks about what we're doing, we'll adjust our policies and move forward. We'll come up, we'll have to have a couple of meetings with the community and the stakeholders, which we'll obviously schedule. And then once we formulate a plan, we'll bring it to the village board and the mayor, and you'll have to ratify it and send it to the governor. I think we're pretty well on schedule with all that. I'm expecting the early part of next year, we'll be just about done with this. The meetings will be tough because of COVID, but I'm sure we can get them done. Any questions?
Thank you very much, Chief Cummings. Take it there's no more questions from the board. Okay. Thank you very much. Have a good night. Thanks for your help with the testing site on Saturday and Monday, and we'll see you guys tomorrow morning as well. That was a big.
Okay, thanks.
All right, so we'll keep moving. The next board presentation, number 5, is the Planning Commission overview presented by Eldon Scott, who will be appointing to our new chair tonight.
Okay, Eldon Scott, you were just brought in. Can you hear us? You are muted. There.
Is that better?
Okay. Yes.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot. Thank you, Mayor. I've been on the Planning Commission for about 6 years, so this is exciting to take this to the next chapter. And actually, I started my career as a planner out of college in the Koch administration, so this is full circle. But I'm excited to continue the work that the Commission's been doing for the last number of years. And I think that I'm really quick, but the Planning Commission can be a great resource for the trustees, for the other boards, for the building department, and for the community at large, because we don't really have any specific legislative power. But what we are is a think tank and a group that's able to focus on specific issues, and those are issues that relate to community health, environment, and community character. And as we all know, there's a lot of changes that are afoot and a lot of changes that have accelerated through the last year. The population's actually moderately increased, due to more people becoming full-time residents. There's been a lot of impacts on businesses. I'm actually, in my other career, am involved with retail and restaurants, and what I'm hearing in the industry is that people are expecting a pretty banner 2021, which we all hope will happen. But I think there's a lot of opportunities, but also a lot of things to keep an eye on as we see growth occur in the village. So my specific goal to start with, one of them is just to take I printed this from the village website. So these are the various master plans and planning work that's been done, some of which I was around for, some of which predate me over the last 7-8 years. And I think a really good first task. I want to sort of set up committees, which the previous chair Paul Travis had already done, and one of them is just to look at the existing planning work and just distill out of that the summary sheets from each of those reports and look and see where there are where things have, been accomplished, where there might be things that we could continue to work on. But I think a lot of that work is there, and we can see from looking back at those plans, use that as kind of a guideline for going forward. And then the other, things that that we've already set up committees for, include looking at the sewer district, which I know Mark Schiffert's done a lot of work on, cooperating with the existing business groups and looking at the village business district, affordable housing, looking at the work we've done with Studio AB 3 or 4 years ago. I think it'll be interesting to look back and see how those changes we made have had, positive or negative impacts on the residential growth. So those are the kind of things, a continuation of what we've been doing for the last couple of years. But it's an interesting time. There's a lot of changes going on, and I think it's important for the village to stay on top of all of these issues.
Thank you very much, Eldon. You've done a great job. Our former and chairperson, Paul Travis, has done a great job. The Planning Commission quietly does a lot of good work, as Eldon outlined. Both Trustee McLaughlin and I were both members of the Planning Commission, so it definitely has been a great think tank, and some of the villages lucky to have. So thanks for the outline. We're looking forward to working with you and our commission, and there's a lot to do. So thank you very much, Eldon.
Thanks, Mayor.
All right, so we can now move forward with communications to the board. That communication is regarding environmental priorities. There's a correspondence from the Clean Water Committee. It's in our packets. Miranda is going to upload that, or currently has uploaded that, to the village website so that our residents can view it. But in that communication, which was a lengthy one and a very well put together one from our Clean Water Committee, led by both Rob Coburn and Tom Latham, outlining various environmental initiatives. We went out and did a tour of Old Town Pond. There's a number of projects, including bioswales and a treatment center, that we're working on. And we just wanted to kind of put that up there for everyone to see. And if anyone has any questions, or any residents, they can reach out to us. But that communication is noted. It will go up on our website. Thank you to the entire Clean Water Committee for your hard work, for outlining and helping us push forward some of our environmental priorities. The next on our agenda is a public hearing. That's the Community Development Block Grant Program. So I'd like to make a motion to open the public hearing. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Brian, I'll let you take this from here. I know there's also just a couple communications, both from Hilton and from Rachel from the Southampton Daycare Center. But Brian, if you just quickly bring us up to speed, and then we can move to those communications.
Sure. Thanks, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor, members of the Board of Trustees. We have two submissions as part of the Community Development Block Grant Program. They are required as a funding agency to have a public presentation for their requests. Obviously, these requests don't have to be granted tonight. They just go into part of the Community Development Block Grant Program. But the federal requirement of the grant requires us for a presentation tonight. I don't know if anyone has signed on, or they're going to rely upon the letters that were submitted. Kat, is there anyone from the organizations? Probably not.
Actually, Brian, I have two communications that I was asked to read in from both of the organizations that are seeking funding.
Okay, fine. If you want to do that, Charlene, that's great.
Sure.
Thanks.
Okay, we have our first letter is a request from Hilton Frosby, who is the executive director of Heart of the Hamptons. Every year they've been a recurring recipient of part of our CDBG funding to run their food pantry. Dated November 24th, dear Mayor and Southampton Village Trustees, for the past 40 years, our mission has been to help the people of our local community who are in need without discrimination in a dignified manner. We run a year-round food pantry that is open to the public on Wednesday and Friday from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. or by appointment anytime Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. The onset of COVID-19 has changed our operations drastically to ensure the safety of our employees, volunteers, and customers, and to keep up with the significant 300% increase in demand. So far in 2020, we have welcomed 819 new households to our food pantry for a total of 1,115 that we are now serving. In July of 2019, we served 152 families, while this year we have served 574. To illustrate the need further, by mid-November, we successfully distributed over 171,000 meals compared to 48,000 last year. Today, our need for funding is greater than ever before, given the dramatic increase in demand for our services. Before the pandemic, we received most of our stock from multiple food banks at little or no cost. The sudden uptick in demand left food banks unable to distribute sufficient stock to meet our sudden increase in demand. As a result, we had to purchase most of our food. Last year, from January 1st to November 24th, we purchased $40,305 on food supplies. Year to date, we have purchased over $221,000 worth of food. The funding from the 2021 Community Development Block Grant will help HOH to continue to provide food to residents who are struggling to make ends meet now more than ever. Heart of the Hamptons would not be able to provide as much help to the local people without the generous support from the Village of Southampton. Sincerely, Hilton Crosby, Executive Director. The second request is for the Southampton Daycare Center, David White's Lane. We have a letter here dated today from Rachel Kopt, the Executive Director, and it says, the Southampton Daycare Center Fountain of Youth was founded in 1985 by community member Kathleen Davis. We are still one of the only nonprofit daycare centers in the town of Southampton. Open year-round, we admit children ages 2 to 5 years old. Our services help our community as well as surrounding neighborhoods by providing low-cost daycare to families of lower income status. This gives parents the opportunity to work while knowing their children are cared for by qualified teachers. Our daycare has successfully created an environment that is safe, nurturing, and respectful to the needs of each child. We pride ourselves in focusing on the whole child, maintaining emotional, social, and cognitive development on a daily basis. We are essentially preparing children with the tools to move on to primary school and beyond. We thank you, Village of Southampton, for your continued support over the years. You have helped make it possible to help our community. If approved, the Suffolk County grant money will help to supplement our teacher salaries. Our teachers are the heart of our center, and it wouldn't be possible without their love and care. Thank you for your time and consideration. Sincerely, Rachel Kopt, Executive Director.
Thank you, Charlene. Are there any comments from the board? If there are no comments, the only question I have is can you just remind us about the total dollar amount of the block grant that's available for the two organizations?
Well, we believe that there's $30,000 available. What will happen is we will submit our grant application, which is due December 1st, which is the need for the public hearing this evening. And then when those funds are allocated from the federal government, which will be probably sometime, earlier in 2021, we will actually get the amount that we are allocated, and then the board will distribute it equally amongst the two organizations.
All right, thank you very much for the explanation. Money well spent, so hopefully we'll be able to award or help award those grants. With that being said, I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you. So next on our agenda is a discussion item regarding village committees, and Trustee Polaro will present that. Thank you, Trustee Polaro.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay. We'll see if I need to share my screen or not with one thing, but where this started from was looking at the committees, and Mayor, I know you were looking to try and streamline a lot of what we were doing in our reorganizational meeting back in October. And I think we got a very good start, but there is, a 4-page document that has the majority, and I will say the majority of our committees on, because in talking to Village Attorney Egan, we found 1 or 2 other ones that weren't listed on here. But it has about 18 committees or so that we have had, some of which we have already deleted. So that has been good. I know that there were 2 in that reorganizational that we are still in the process of looking at. One of them, it falls in one of the things that Attorney Egan and I found, which is what is in our code. The other, the Safety Inspection Committee, we believe should be reinstituted and resolutioned, and hopefully we can get on to that. But again, what I am looking to do is present to you in the work session so that we can have a discussion on where we see these committees going. And why don't let me see if I put this on this. If I share my screen, I can bring up kind of where we are. And what we have. So you can all kind of see here now, these are the committees that some of them have been resolutioned already. The Budget and Finance has been resolutioned. Trustee Aresta is the liaison there. There is the Youth, Minority, and Senior Citizens Affairs Committee. Charlene and I thought that might be better utilized as being called the Human Services. And then it would have task force underneath that. Some of our, again, some of the committees would be changed from a committee to a task force. This allows for the committee not to be standing at all times, but it allows that a committee be dealt a mission by this board. It would create that mission, it would create the task that is done, and then it would be kind of fall into the sunset. And if it is needed again, it can be reconstituted, or the time can be extended by the board, rather than having a committee that kind of just is sitting there and not doing anything. Again, it would shrink down the number of committees that we have, and it would allow for direct utilization of the individuals on those task force. A good example of that would be our surf committee, which we brought into existence, couple of summers ago when we were looking at the surfing issue and the surf legislation. And they came on, the committee is still around, but had that been a task force, they would have been tasked with the mission at hand, create the surf legislation for the village, which they have done, and then it would have been kind of sunset. And rather than being still kind of in existence, not knowing which way to move. And so with a change in Human Services, it kind of then takes into account the youth and the senior citizen. The one thing that, again, the village administrator and I spoke about was moving the minority part of that over to another committee that is already resolutioned, which was the Diversity and Inclusion, which was changed from the Affirmative Action Committee. So again, we now have something that is already in place. So why not do this? The Minority, Diversity, and Inclusion, include all of that under the one committee. It is already resolutioned. It already has a trustee liaison and Trustee McLaughlin. And again, that is something that is there in place and working. The Village Improvement Committee is something that kind of comes out of the business revitalization. And again, there are a couple of things within there under Village Improvement that we could do. We could definitely have a business revitalization task force that we could have in place. Again, this is something that we can constantly have, because I have got to believe business revitalization will be in play for a very long time. It's not just with how do we help fill our shops downtown. Well, we do know that COVID allowed for that because a lot of stores opened up when a lot more people were staying out here. I think that's something going forward, once COVID is passed, once we are through that, again, we will keep continuing to talk about. So again, the Business Revitalization Task Force, something that can be put in place. And then we also have a beautification committee that, again, we did not get rid of at the reorganization meeting. It's kind of floating out there. Again, something that could be brought to a task force, something like that could be looking at our park benches, could be looking at our bike racks that are around the village, could be looking at, the benches and all of those. So just something, again, that we can think about and discuss. The two that haven't been re-resolutioned would be the safety inspection committee, which really is made up of a lot of our department heads. And it really does talk about, as we talked about during that meeting, trying to keep our insurance rates low, trying to make sure that all of the latest safety measures are in place, trying to make sure that all of our departments have the prerequisite signs around. So as we come into winter, how to walk safely on slippery surfaces and all of that to avoid accidents in there. Also, as you spoke about tonight, Mayor Warren, the clean water is a committee that is there that does not have a liaison yet on there. But the clean water is more kind of environmental. So, and that's something I would love to get some feedback on, is potentially using the clean water more as an environmental committee. That clean water would kind of fall under that. We could even have the surf committee or surf committee task force fall under that, because that kind of works on the environment, and our beaches and all of that. So that's something that, should it need to recommence, that could kind of come under that. Again, the one thing that Attorney Egan and I kind of found out is that in 4 of our local laws and in our code, there are some committees and commissions that are in there, and we need to do a little bit more work before I can come back and present to you on those and what we have to do. I think one of the things that, if we want to change or remove some of the commissions or committees, we would have to open up and do it through a change in our local law. So that would need public hearing. So again, a lot more needs to be done with regards to our code review, and the cultural center fits under that. And so again, more work on that. The surf committee, again, one that I am kind of recommending that possibly be changed to a task force from the committee. And then there are 2 committees, again, Mr. Mayor, as we deleted a bunch of them within the reorganizational meeting, I think there are 2 further ones that we could remove, which is the infrastructure committee and the sports and recreation committee.
Okay. Yeah, I was just going to try to, I'm sorry. Am I unmuted? I am. Okay. Yeah, we're, all right. So we ran a little over 5 minutes, but that's okay. Did you want to put this on, continue this on the next agenda, trustee, and then have some feedback from the board at this point, and then we can revisit with, making those resolutions and get some opinions from Brian?
Yes. Then yes.
Yeah, because I think that we're going to have to take some action. We're going to have to do so. We're going to have to prepare some resolutions at this point, and get some feedback from the other board members. Jesse, what is your thoughts?
I think that's great, Trustee Pilar. I think that was a very well done analysis of all the committees, commissions, task force. You're right. We were meeting last week with Kirsten Lonnie, and she had reminded us there's actually a commission on arts and culture that has been, unused for a while. So I think this was really, really good. And very happy that we did this tonight. So thank
Brian,
you,
what,
Trustee Polaro.
Brian, what do we have to do as far as, you know, some of these commissions? Are they created by local law? Do we have to have a public hearing? What's the process on that?
So I can definitely say that Trustee Polaro put in a lot of work into this, and he even found committees that were buried in the village code that have not been constituted for as long as anyone could possibly remember. I mean, he found a highway committee, he found a police committee, he found a housing commission. Like those are all local laws that we'd have to have a public hearing to go through. But I think at this point, and again, if this is acceptable to Trustee Polaro and the mayor, right now, this is almost like a reorg chart on these committees. I think what we should do is we should formulate and I'm happy to work on this, formulate a resolution, either setting out terms for members, setting out what's going to be a task force, do a comprehensive omnibus resolution on the standing committees and task forces or reorganizations that we have. We could present that resolution at the next meeting if we're ready. And then at that next meeting for January, we can notice the public hearing to amend or eliminate some of these other committees that are buried in the village code.
All right. Well, thank you, Brian. Thank you again, Trustee Polaro. That was a great job. Very thankful for your putting it through tonight, and looking forward to working with you on this at our next meeting and really cleaning up some of our committees and commissions. So thanks again. So with that being said, we now have the suggested resolution. So Charlene, we'll let you take it from here.
Okay, resolution number 1, resolve that the claims for the warrant dated November 24th, 2020 totaling $454,772.67, warrant number 11, general fund, be audited and approved. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, number 2, resolve that the reading of the minutes for the public sessions of November 12th, 2020 be dispensed and that with those minutes be accepted and filed by the village administrator, and that the actions taken at that meeting be and hereby are ratified and approved. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution number 3, resolve that Mauricio Espinoza be promoted from maintenance mechanic 2 to maintenance mechanic 3 at an annual salary of $69,276.33, effective November 25th, 2020.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Resolution number 4, resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby accepts the resignation of PSD Public Safety Dispatcher 1, George Carenz, effective November 12th, 2020. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Resolution number 5, whereas the village administrator is responsible for the day-to-day management, storage and proper disposition of records maintained by the village of Southampton, and whereas the village of Southampton must formally appoint a records management officer, RMO, to be eligible to apply for funding under New York State Local Government Records Management Improvement Fund, and whereas as a practical matter, the village administrator presently serves as the RMO for the village of Southampton. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby formally appoint the village administrator, Charlene Cagle-Betts, to serve as RMO for the village of Southampton, and be it further resolved, the Board of Trustees hereby formally appoint Deputy Clerk Kathy Sweeney to serve as Deputy RMO for the village of Southampton. I received an email from Jen Mezziano, who has identified a funding opportunity coming up in February for the village to apply for some first round of funding for an archives management grant. Usually the first round would have to do with a study and inventory of our records to determine what the plan would be, but perhaps, move towards, removing some of the old records, restoring some of the historical records, and digitizing many of our records. She had recommended that we actually have to have this resolution in place as a condition to apply for the grant. So hence she wrote the resolution for us and gave us the suggested language. So do we have any discussion or questions?
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion to move.
I'll make the motion to put this out. And is there a second?
Second.
All in
The
favor?
only discussion I have, Charlene, is I just wanted to thank you and Jen for doing this. This is great. I know our entire board is really making an effort to make things more efficient, to digitize our records, to make them more available. So a small step in the right direction. So thank you for your good work and good ideas on this one.
Yeah, and Kathy's our deputy clerk, Kathy Sweeney, is going to be spearheading this project. So as a matter of law, as the clerk, I have to be the RMO. So we designated Kathy to be the deputy so she could manage the project for us. Okay, resolution number 6, resolved that the Village of Southampton's grant application submitted to New York State DEC has approved the Lake Agawam dredging study project. I'm asking for an amendment to add that language on this resolution in the amount of $68,000, $30,000 to be funded by the grant and $38,000 by the village trustees special project account, and be it further resolved that the grant requires the Village of Southampton outlay the project cost and submit reimbursement to New York State DEC. Funds to be expended from A 1010.47 Village Trustees Special Project and to be replenished upon reimbursement from New York State.
Can I just do it for a second? Did we have the vote on 5? I think we had a motion in a second. I'm not sure you had a vote.
Oh, thank you, Brian. Back to number 5. Do we have all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right. So now back to 6. Do we have a motion to
Motion.
second?
Second.
All opposed? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution number 7, resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the equal allocation of approximately $30,000 in federal community development block grant funds to the Southampton Daycare Center and the Heart of the Hamptons, and authorizes the mayor to execute any documentation that may be required to receive such funds. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Resolved that Roger Corsella hereby be hired as a construction consultant for grant purposes for the duration of the Pyrrhus Concert House project from November 1st, 2020 through May 31st, 2021, estimated to be 10 to 12 hours per month at a rate of $125 an hour for a maximum not to exceed $10,500.
So moved.
Second.
Second. Any questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, number 9, resolved that a public hearing be held on Thursday, December 10th, 2020 at 6 p.m. in Village Hall, 23 Main Street, Southampton, New York, 11968, by the Village Board of the Incorporated Village of Southampton to amend Section 116-2, add Article 9 and to Chapter 116 and repeal Section 116-8.1 of the Village Code to create a special permit process for accessory apartments, a copy of which proposed local law is on file at the office of the village clerk and may be accessed through the following link on the agenda center of our village website. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Resolution number 10, resolved that a public hearing will be held on Thursday, December 10th, 2020 at 6 p.m. in Village Hall, 23 Main Street, Southampton, New York, 11968 by the Village Board of the Incorporated Village of Southampton to add Chapter 49A to the Village Code to establish a community choice aggregation energy program, a copy of which proposed local law is on file at the office of the village clerk and may be accessed through the following link, which references the village website agenda center. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, number 11, resolved that due to a power surge and fire that occurred at the Southampton Village Police Headquarters, Motorola VHF repeater needs to be replaced at a cost of $14,000 to be funded by the general fund budget from contingency to be funded from the police department PD equipment A 1320.2 in the amount of $14,000. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
A second?
Second.
Just so there was discussion before the meeting, to some questions. Trustee Aresta had a question. This is going to be submitted to the insurance company, and we expect it to be reimbursed because it was due to a lightning strike. So that said, any questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Then we have mayoral appointments. Resolved that Michael Lieberman be appointed as a member of the Planning Commission, a term ending June 30th, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Joe? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Resolved that Eldon Scott be appointed as chairman for the Planning Commission for a term ending June 30th, 2023. We have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, comments from the board.
All right. Thank you, Charlene. Well done tonight. As you stated, we have comments from board members. So Trustee Aresta, alphabetical order. Floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to start with saying hello and thank you for making this meeting happen this evening, and to all those that participated. As you can see, Christmas decorations are just about done in the village, and it looks just as festive as ever. Fall paving has also begun, and actually began last week, and we should be finishing up the paving by tomorrow. I'd like to wish everyone a very happy Thanksgiving, though it's a bit different this year. But we all have to remember that we do have a lot to be thankful for, especially living in this beautiful village that we live in. And I'd like to add that it's been 2 months since Joe and I have been sworn in today into the office, and I am grateful to all the members of this community who make Southampton Village such a special place to live in, and for the honor of serving the residents here. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Trustee Aresta. Trustee McLaughlin.
Thank you, thank you, Mayor. So I have a few things tonight. First and foremost, thank you to all the presenters, and of course, Trustee Pilar for his hard work with the committee or staffing organization. A few points on my end. One, I spoke with council and with Trustee Pilar earlier this week on trying to start communication with the town regarding projects that they are engaging in. I'm hopeful that we can speak with them in the coming weeks to resolve some issues that I think we both share, and that we want to just to be engaged with them and have a proper dialogue with these various projects, maybe the Aqua Center and also the affordable housing on 39. Also, I just wanted to remind everyone that we also, a resident reached out to me today about, he wanted to know about the bike racks by the beaches. And I think maybe in addition to what Trustee Flora was talking about before about the committees, if we can streamline the idea of who can maintain the bike racks, because obviously the bike racks we have are kind of antiquated, and this resident was hoping that we could either have new ones, buy new ones, or have new ones donated through private funds. I know we have the bike sharing down at the beaches, but this would be more for personal bikes, not for the bike share. And lastly, and most importantly, I wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving, and echo Trustee West's comments. The village looks great, as it always does during holidays, and I want to thank all the village employees for all their hard work and for all those days, all the trees and decorations, and also, of course, to Trustee Parrish and Flora, who serve on the committee, who surely put in some time as well. So thank you all, and I want to wish you all a happy holiday.
Thank you, Trustee McLaughlin. Trustee Parrish.
Good evening, and thanks to the people who presented on the things. It was very informative and also well laid out. So we have a lot of things to look forward to. I don't have much to report today. I just want to say to everybody that as the holidays approach, we know what's going on around us in some neighboring communities. So please continue to be smart, continue to be safe, wear your mask. We're going to have some nice weather coming up, it looks like, this coming weekend, which is always great for the village. And we are going to have some beautiful displays of window decorations. And also there's going to be quite a few ice sculptures around the village. So the people that want to come around on Friday, they will be basically placed throughout the village on the streets, more so by the park. And there's quite a few that the village Christmas decorations committee is putting out there. So they're going to look really, really, really pretty, and the village is going to look beautiful. And just, I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving and enjoy yourselves.
Thank you, Trustee Parrish. I know Trustee McLaughlin was talking to Chief Cummings about this, but we're just curious, for those who are listening and watching, do you have an update from the Christmas tree decorations committee about what's going on this year? Lighting, ceremonies, etc. I know we've been getting a few questions. I thought you might be able to answer that.
No ceremonies at all. The tree will be lit. Everything will be taken care of. I believe the highway department and the parks department are doing a great job, along with the building maintenance, of getting them out there. They should be probably up by tomorrow, finished, lit, and the big tree will be ready to go also. But there is no ceremony. That's due to COVID. We wanted to go with the governor's orders because it's always a huge, huge, huge crowd. But Friday we should have the village lit up really nice.
I just want to echo those comments as well, Trustee Parrish. Yes, due to COVID, we had to cancel this the beloved parade, and to that, we did try to have a drive-by truck ceremony, but obviously due to the virus, we could not do that. So I just want to correct the record that we tried to do something that was COVID friendly, but we could not. Unfortunately, it wasn't in the cards. But hopefully next year it'll be back to normal, and we can have a bigger celebration than years past. So thanks.
If I could just add one thing, I think it would be great to have the community, residents, visitors alike, come out Friday. It is a big shopping day, but also to walk around, because as the sun sets, we'll see a lot of the windows that are being decorated, the buildings that are being decorated, all the trees along Main Street, Job's Lane, and the business district. It's going to be a pretty spectacular. So weather looks really good, and it would be great to just have everybody share the beauty of our village and what we're doing.
One more thing also, Mark, did we get an update on the BRC, on the boxes? Did Shannon confirm that with us or not? With the gift boxes?
Last email that was sent out is that they were going forward with them. So I believe that they're in play, Joe, the last email that we received.
Okay, 'cause I didn't see resolution on for that expense. I wasn't sure if it was going to come out of the trustee fund or the general fund or what. So maybe that's a question for Charlene, but so.
We'd
Okay.
probably take it out of trustees special projects.
Yeah, Charlene, let's do that. Let's get that taken care of and get this out so the community can benefit from those in need.
Thank you, Trustee Parrish. Appreciate the comments, and you guys did a nice job this year and last year. I mean, last year was a lot of fun. It's what can you do? But thank you very much for your work. And you too, Trustee Polaro. So you're up next. So we'll let you take it from here.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will say, I mean, I think the last exchange between Trustee McLaughlin and Parrish is exactly what I figured a work session was going to be like. So I'm very happy to see that, and I hope that we get more of that in the future with our work sessions, is talking the ideas back and forth and being able to see things. So that to me is a great way to go forward. I really don't have much to say, with the exception that, we are seeing an increase in cases on Long Island. Hampton Bays went to yellow the other day. And if everyone is smart and wise, then I think we can hopefully keep ourselves from going to that in the near future. Social distance, when you can't wear a mask. I would say, please be very careful for everyone on Thursday who wants to deep fry their turkeys. Not too many phone calls, please, or hopefully no phone calls to the fire and village ambulance, because for anything's going wrong. So that will give them a nice day as well. But I really do. I wish everyone a very happy, safe, and healthy Thanksgiving with friends, with family, with only 10 in the house. And enjoy, and we will see everyone back here soon for our next meeting on December 10th. And then, yes, this weekend in the village should be wonderful, and weather should be lovely. So get out, shop local, support your local businesses, and come enjoy the village.
Polaro, a few things. First, wholeheartedly agree about the work sessions. I reached out to the mayor of Sag Harbor, and they have a work session, each month, and asked her, what they do to try to really get the flow going. And she had mentioned that, they actually keep a few items for discussion, so they don't try to make it, too wide. So they like to focus on one or two items and keep a lot of dialogue there. We're probably playing a little bit of catch up here because we still have some public hearings and other things, but I think I totally agree, and definitely think that, our work sessions could be a little more dialogue and less getting through the meeting. And typically that just means that the public meeting portion each month is a bit longer, just to carve out some more time for the work session. So glad you brought that up. The second thing, and Charlene, sorry to put you on the spot, but just to follow up what Trustee McLaughlin said about the resident who reached out about the bike racks, as part of his public comment, he had sent a suggestion. There's a website, Dero.com. I forwarded you that link. If you can get that up on your screen, I wouldn't mind doing a screen share just so people can see those bike racks. They're quite eclectic. So whenever you're ready, feel free to screen share. I can keep on going. You can just give them the heads up when you're ready to go. So while Charlene is working on that, I just wanted to give a friendly update. And Miranda brought this to my attention, but the Hamptons United Methodist Church is seeking donated turkeys last minute, preferably not frozen tonight if you're watching live, or tomorrow morning. They're handling all the cooking and delivery to homes. So they just need some extra turkeys. There's a lot of families in need this year. So if you've got an extra turkey or are going to go to Stop and Shop or anywhere local, feel free to bring it tomorrow to the Hamptons United Church. I know there'll be a lot of happy families. So just something to consider. And to reiterate regarding our board with some of the COVID safety measures, just wanted to reiterate again, a negative test, not a free pass. If you test negative, I know a lot of people are getting tested. That doesn't mean you can just feel like you're invincible. Sometimes there's a 3 to 5 day incubation or shedding period. So when you do visit your parents, grandparents, just make sure that if you have your negative test, still take those precautions. So that's another thing. Charlene, just let us know when you're ready.
I'm
Okay,
ready.
let's go see what we got here.
How do I share my screen, Kat?
You press the green in the center where it says share screen. Do you see it in the bottom, on the bottom of your
Oh,
screen?
yes.
And then you choose which one you want.
Okay, so it's this one here.
So these are going to be quite interesting.
Okay, so can everybody see it?
Yes.
Okay.
Very nice.
So we've got the animals.
I like the martini.
Uh-huh. We have symbols and vehicles. And we even have bicycles.
Oh, is that the bike rack right there, the blue?
Yeah, there's a blue bike. There's a black one here.
Oh, how
It
interesting.
looks like a little bicycle.
Mhm.
See, this is a blue bicycle beach cruiser. Those are kind of neat. Then you'd know it was a bike rack. Because I think maybe some people who saw these would think that it's like some, object d'art or something.
Yeah, but the anchor is our symbol of the village.
That's true.
I think the idea was that, the bike racks we have are kind of, they're old and they're pretty worn out. And I think about this resident was saying, it's time to, we're going to replace them. We should do it with more of a interesting look versus replacing them with the standard bike rack.
I actually forwarded this to our DPW director for him to do some research and get some quotes for us. So if the board is interested, I will have him proceed.
Here's a thought. What about some local artists that are, are into a lot of, sculpting with, these type of projects to throw out there at them?
That actually reminds me that I met with a gentleman who has a nice sculpture collection, and he'd like to put a few of them throughout the East End. In fact, if you drive on Montauk Highway, if you know where the Hampton's Coffee and the Tracy Anderson studio is, there's a sculpture, and so he'd like to speak to us. I thought it was a great idea, but he'd like to speak to us about placing some sculptures around the village just to add some excitement. He's reached out to the village of East Hampton as well and West Hampton. I think those communities like that as well, but that's a great idea. And then Mark, if you're okay, maybe we can put one of the burgers in front of Sip and Soda, the burger bike racks.
It'll take up too much space in the outdoor dining.
All right, that's true. All right, food for thought, no pun intended. So, okay, we'll keep moving here. I don't have a lot. I just wanted to highlight a few other things. We had a meeting with with Jen Messiano on our Clean Water Committee with Rue, an environmental engineer. Rue is the company that did the lily pad removal in Lake Agawam. And we were speaking about this idea of a natural treatment center, which basically can remove some of the nitrates from water bodies. And there's a piece of village land that is that we own on the north side of Old Town, which would be the perfect location for this. So we've asked Rue to put together not just a proposal, but a shovel-ready project so that we can go out and look for some grants for that. It wouldn't be a whole large cost to the village. Rue is very economical. They understand the situation, but just want to make sure that they can do all of the work so we can take it to either the CPF water quality or New York State DEC as a grant program. So that's, underway. And hopefully Charlie can come in and do a brief presentation, maybe at the start of next year or in December about what he's doing. So just want to let everyone know about that. Could be kind of exciting. And just want to reiterate what our board said. We wanted to thank our Department of Public Works. Everyone's done a great job getting our decorations up, and the village, as always, looks beautiful and looks great. Thanks to the Department of Public Works, thanks to all of our village employees, thanks to this board, and thanks Trustee Parrish for the ice sculptures. A lot of people are excited about it, hearing people talk about it. So I think we're making good progress. We're in good shape. Obviously, no one expected to be in this situation that we're in right now with COVID. But I think we've done a nice job working together and making progress despite the fact about what's going on between the CCA, our window law that we passed, you know, a lot of the work that Mark, Andrew, Joe, and Gina have been doing. So I think we're, you know, I'm very happy that I think we're doing a good job, and in spite of everything. So I just want to thank this whole board, wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. Thank Charlene, who's really came in, done a nice job, Kathy, Mimi, Pat, Vicky, Danielle, everybody. So thanks again. And with that being said, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy
Thanks,
Thanksgiving.
Kat.
Happy
Thanks,
Thanksgiving.
Kat.
Thank you.